12 years of marriage, I'd thought it meant something. Then my wife returned from a business trip, radiating a happiness that wasn't for me. It was for him. The hidden lace lingerie, the clandestine phone calls, that silver bracelet engraved with another's initials, these were merely the opening acts. When I unearthed their shared bank account and the plans for a Miami condo, the stark reality hit me. I wasn't losing a wife. I was escaping a masterful manipulator who had been orchestrating her departure for months. But two can play this game, and she had no inkling of the blow I was about to deliver. My name is Brian Turner. I'm 38, a software developer at a mid-sized tech company in Seattle. 6 months ago, I considered my marriage an unshakable fortress. It began on a Tuesday evening in October. Rain lashed against our windows, quintessential Seattle weather. I sat in the living room, hunched over my laptop, wrestling with code. The clock on the wall ticked to 11:45 p.m. Lauren wasn't due back from her 3-day Portland business trip until the following afternoon, so the sound of a car pulling into our driveway was a jarring surprise. I peered through the blinds and saw her emerge from an Uber, laughing at something on her phone. Even from a distance, I could see the radiant joy on her face, a light I hadn't witnessed in months. My wife had returned, beaming, practically glowing as she wheeled her suitcase towards the front door. The door swung open and she stood silhouetted in the frame. Her blonde hair was slightly damp from the rain, her cheeks flushed with an unnatural excitement. She gave a small start as she registered my presence in the dimly lit living room. "Brian, you startled me," she exclaimed, her voice pitched a little too high. "I thought you'd be asleep." I snapped my laptop shut. "Back early? I thought your last meeting was tomorrow morning." She waved a dismissive hand, already tapping away at her phone. "Oh, they canceled some issue with the client. Since everything wrapped up, I decided to take an earlier flight." She glanced at me fleetingly. The presentation went brilliantly, by the way. Anderson practically guaranteed we'd get the contract. I nodded, my gaze fixed on her unwavering attention to her device. "That's great, honey. Congratulations." "Thanks." Her phone pinged and her face illuminated again as she looked at the screen. "Sorry, it's work," still buzzing from how well it went. A disquieting feeling settled within me. Lauren had always been dedicated to her marketing career, but late-night office celebrations were entirely out of character. "You seem exceptionally happy," I observed, studying her expression. "Must have been quite the presentation." "It was," she replied with an almost theatrical enthusiasm, "possibly career-defining." She wheeled her suitcase towards the bedroom. "Just going to unpack quickly and jump in the shower. I smell like airplane." As she disappeared down the hallway, I sat there, a strange, hollow ache forming in the pit of my stomach. Lauren had always been remarkably straightforward about her trips: tedious meetings, mediocre hotel food, polite client chit-chat. But this time, something felt profoundly amiss. She was practically levitating. I was about to follow her when a muffled, "Oh no," drifted from the bedroom, followed by a flurry of hushed sounds. "Everything all right in there?" I called out. "Yes," she responded a fraction too quickly. "Just dropped something." As I reached the bedroom doorway, I saw her kneeling beside her open suitcase. Her face was pale, her hands trembling slightly as she shoved something into the bottom drawer of her dresser. "What was that?" I asked. Lauren looked up, and for a fleeting second I saw something I had never witnessed in my wife's eyes before: fear. "Nothing," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just some papers. Didn't want to lose them." She stood and brushed a quick kiss against my cheek. "Going to shower now. Long day." As the bathroom door clicked shut behind her, my gaze remained fixed on the dresser drawer. A knot of unease tightened in my gut. 12 years of marriage had taught me one undeniable truth: Lauren was hiding something, and for the first time in our relationship, I was afraid to discover what it was. Sleep eluded me that night. Lauren's unusual behavior replayed in my mind like a broken record. Around 2 in the morning, I heard the shower turn off, followed by her soft footsteps. She slid into bed beside me, and I feigned sleep. The scent of her lavender shower gel filled the air, but beneath it lingered another fragrance, a cologne, definitely not mine. Morning arrived, cold and stark. Lauren was already gone. Her side of the bed was empty. A text message on my phone offered a terse explanation. An early meeting. Perfect timing. I approached her dresser, my eyes drawn to that bottom drawer. My hands trembled slightly as I pulled it open. A wave of guilt washed over me. In 12 years, I had never snooped through her belongings, but that look in her eyes last night, something was terribly wrong. Beneath a stack of winter sweaters, my fingers brushed against a small velvet box, not the size for jewelry, larger as if it might hold a watch. I lifted it, surprised by its weight. Inside lay an expensive-looking silver bracelet engraved with the words, "Forever starts now T+L." I didn't know any T. My stomach plummeted somewhere below the drawer. Beneath it, a handwritten note on hotel stationery read, "Last night was incredible. Can't wait for Miami next month. 3 days of just us." No signature, but none was needed. That swooping script wasn't Lauren's. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the damning evidence clutched in my hands. This wasn't about work. This was betrayal. Carefully, I returned everything to its place, feigning ignorance. Then I did something I had never done before. I checked Lauren's iPad, which she had left charging on her nightstand. Her iCloud messages synced automatically. There he was, Tyler. Pages of text, each message more intimate than the last. Heart emojis, late-night exchanges, photos I couldn't bring myself to open. They had been corresponding for months. The most recent message from him sent last night. "Does he suspect anything?" Her reply, "Not a clue. He never notices anything." Bile rose in my throat. 12 years of marriage, and she considered me too obtuse to detect her affair. Worse, until now, she had been right. I photographed the messages as proof, then returned the iPad to its place. My mind raced. I needed more information, but I also needed to be smart. Confronting her now would only lead to denials and half-truths. That same day, I made a call that would change everything. A private investigator named Victor came highly recommended for delicate domestic situations. His office was downtown, and he agreed to meet me that afternoon. It was time to find out who Tyler was and how deep this deception ran. Victor's office occupied a weathered brick building downtown. He looked precisely as one might imagine a private investigator, 50-something with salt and pepper hair and eyes that seemed to absorb everything. "So, your wife's having an affair," he stated matter-of-factly after I laid out the situation. Hearing it aloud was like a physical blow. "I think so. I need to be sure." Victor nodded. People think they're careful, but they always make mistakes. Always. He produced a notepad. "I'll need your schedules. Any information you have on this Tyler, access to your shared accounts, anything you can provide." I handed him a USB drive containing everything I had found. The photos of the text messages, Lauren's work calendar for the next 2 weeks, and printouts of our phone bills. "There's a number she calls almost daily," I said, pointing to a highlighted line on the bill. "Started about 3 months ago." Victor whistled softly, examining the call durations. 60-minute calls during lunch breaks, definitely not work-related. He ran the number through a database. Tyler Reynolds, marketing director at Stellar Brand. A cold dread washed over me. Stellar Brand was a client of Lauren's company. The standard surveillance package is $2,500, Victor continued. I'll track their movements, document any meetings, and provide photographic evidence if it exists. The next 2 days were spent in a strange purgatory. I interacted with Lauren mechanically, knowing Victor was shadowing her every move. I played the part of the oblivious husband, kissing her goodbye in the mornings, asking about her day. Lauren seemed to buy my act. If anything, she became more affectionate, bringing home my favorite takeout, suggesting a weekend getaway next month. Guilt was etched on her face, but I played along. "You seem distracted," she commented one evening, massaging my shoulders as I pretended to work on my laptop. In reality, I was waiting for Victor's daily report. "Just a tough project at work," I lied, hating how easily the deception came. My phone vibrated with an incoming email. "Bathroom break," I said, taking my phone with me. The email contained several photos of Lauren and a man I didn't recognize entering a boutique hotel downtown. The timestamp confirmed it was the very day she claimed to have a client meeting. The last photo showed them kissing in the hotel elevator. My hand trembled so violently I nearly dropped my phone. There it was, irrefutable proof. The man who was fracturing my marriage now had a face. I took a deep breath and returned to the living room where Lauren was curled up on the sofa, smiling at something on her phone. Probably him. "Everything okay?" she asked, not looking up. "Fine," I replied, marveling at the steadiness of my voice when everything inside me was screaming. The game wasn't over. I needed to know the extent of their entanglement. The following morning, Lauren kissed me goodbye, smelling faintly of mint, and promised dinner at our favorite restaurant that evening. "I'll make a reservation for 7, she said, smoothing my collar with a tender gesture. "We've both been so busy lately, we need some us time." I nodded, wondering if I was still included in that us. As soon as her car disappeared around the corner, I called Victor. "I need more," I said without preamble. "The hotel photos aren't enough. I need to know how long this has been going on, how serious it is." "Already on it," Victor replied. "I have a man tailing Reynolds, and I'm digging into his digital footprint. They've been sloppy." Later that day, Victor sent a comprehensive report. Tyler Reynolds, 36, divorced, had joined Stellar Brand 8 months ago. Around the same time, Lauren's business trips had become more frequent. Their first documented meeting outside of work was at a conference in San Diego 5 months prior. But the real bombshell lay in the financial records. Victor had uncovered a joint checking account opened 3 months ago, listing both Lauren's and Tyler's names. Small amounts were being deposited regularly, earmarked for something. Worse, Victor had found an email from Lauren's personal account to a real estate agent in Miami. "We're looking forward to viewing waterfront properties next month. Something modern, at least 2 bedrooms. Budget is negotiable." A cold dread seeped into my bones. This wasn't just an affair, it was an exit strategy. When Lauren texted that she had to cancel our dinner due to a last-minute work emergency, I almost laughed at the predictability. Victor confirmed she was with Tyler at his apartment. I spent the evening alone, formulating my plan. A direct confrontation now would only lead to denials and half-truths. I needed to be strategic, to gather every piece of evidence before making my move. I also consulted a lawyer friend who advised me to document everything and secure my personal finances immediately. "Joint accounts can be drained without warning," he cautioned. "Seen it happen too many times." That night, I transferred half of our savings into a new account solely in my name. Not all of it. I wasn't trying to hide assets, just protect myself from being left with nothing. When Lauren finally came home around 11, she reeked of wine and that same foreign cologne. "Sorry about dinner," she mumbled, sliding into bed beside me. Brighton had a complete meltdown. "It's fine," I replied, turning my back to her. "Things happen." As she drifted to sleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling. Victor's words echoed in my mind. "I've saved the worst for our meeting tomorrow. Some things are better not sent by email." Whatever it was, I knew it would change everything. Victor's office seemed smaller the second time, or perhaps the weight of what I was about to learn was compressing the space around me. He had a file and a laptop ready when I arrived. "Before I show you this," he said, his voice grave, "I need to make sure you're prepared. This goes beyond what we initially suspected." I nodded, trying to maintain a semblance of composure. "Just show me." Victor opened his laptop and scrolled through a series of photographs. Lauren and Tyler entering various hotels, intimate dinners, strolling hand in hand, the usual damning evidence. "Now for the truly unpleasant part," Victor commented, opening a chain of emails between Lauren and Tyler dated as recently as yesterday. "Brian suspects nothing about Miami," Lauren had written. "I'll tell him I have a week-long conference. By the time I get back, the offer on the condo will be in. 3 months max before I can make my final exit." Tyler's reply sent a shard of ice through my veins. "Perfect. My transfer to the Miami office is confirmed. What's your financial escape strategy?" Lauren: "Working on it. Small transfers weekly. The joint account is healthy. He never checks the statements anyway." I felt physically ill. The woman I had built a life with wasn't just having an affair. She was systematically dismantling our life, plotting her new one. There's one more thing, Victor said quietly, sliding a legal document across the desk. They met with a realtor in Miami. This is a pre-approval for a mortgage, listing both their names. I stared at the document, the implications sinking in. She's leaving me. This was never just an affair. Victor nodded grimly. Based on everything I've gathered, they've been planning this for at least 3 months. That trip to Miami next month isn't a vacation. It's them finalizing their escape. What about our assets? I asked, a sudden fear gripping me that she had already drained everything while I was oblivious. She's been methodical, Victor confirmed. Small transfers, nothing that would immediately raise suspicion, but it adds up. My estimate is she's moved approximately $40,000 from your joint accounts in the last few months. I remembered the new car she had insisted on buying last year, titled solely in her name. The investment account she had opened for tax purposes. It all clicked into place. And lastly, Victor said, pulling out his phone, this is an audio recording of their restaurant reservation in Miami for next month. He pressed play. Lauren's voice, clear and confident, filled the room. This sounds perfect. It'll be our first official dinner as a couple in our new city. No more hiding. I sat there, numb, as Victor outlined my options. Confrontation, divorce, legal protection of my remaining assets. All I could think about was 12 years of marriage, and I had never truly known her. The following week was a blur, a strange twilight existence where I went through the motions of daily life, bracing for the inevitable implosion. Every smile Lauren offered, every casual touch, now felt like another twist of the knife. She played the devoted wife, counting down the days to her escape. I consulted a divorce attorney, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Diana, who specialized in cases involving financial deception. Unfortunately, this is a classic scenario, she said, after reviewing Victor's evidence. She's been planning this for months, possibly longer. We need to act swiftly to protect your remaining assets. I signed the paperwork granting Diana the authority to freeze our joint accounts if necessary. I meticulously documented everything: bank statements, property deeds, retirement accounts. What about confronting her? I asked. Diana's expression turned cautious. That's your decision, but strategically it's often beneficial if she remains unaware that you know everything until we've secured the financial aspects. I knew she was right, but the thought of continuing the charade felt unbearable. At home, Lauren intensified her performance. She suggested a week-long vacation to reconnect, initiated sex for the first time in months, even broached the subject of trying for a baby next year, all while secretly planning to be in Miami with another man. The audacity was staggering. Victor continued his surveillance, providing daily updates. The Miami trip was fully booked. Lauren had officially requested time off work for a conference. Meanwhile, Tyler had put his condo on the market and started moving things into a storage unit in Florida. They were really going to do this. I meticulously documented my own work schedule, creating a digital trail proving I was in the office during key times. Diana had warned me that spouses caught in infidelity often launched counter-accusations. Be prepared for anything, she advised. People backed into a corner become desperate. On Friday, Lauren announced she had to work late. A text from Victor confirmed she was meeting Tyler at a downtown hotel. I used the time to finalize my own plan. The confrontation needed to be controlled, with irrefutable evidence presented methodically, leaving no room for denials or gaslighting. I laid out the printed emails, bank statements, and photographs in a binder. I backed up Victor's recordings onto multiple devices. I rehearsed what I would say, trying to find words that could encompass the magnitude of her betrayal. When Lauren finally returned home after midnight, I feigned sleep. She showered before slipping into bed, washing away the remnants of her evening. Tomorrow was the day. I would let her make her plans for Miami, then show her and her lover just how much I never noticed. As she drifted to sleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling, wondering how someone could lie so convincingly for so long to the person they once claimed to love. Or perhaps that was it. Perhaps she hadn't loved me for a very long time. Saturday morning dawned with an eerie sense of calm. I had barely slept, yet I felt strangely composed. Today, Lauren's carefully constructed world would shatter. She was cheerful at breakfast, recounting a spa day with her friend Melissa. Another lie, Victor had confirmed she was meeting Tyler to finalize their Miami plans. Back around 6, she said, kissing me on the cheek. Maybe we can grab dinner somewhere tonight. Sounds good, I replied. I'll make a reservation at Bistro 7 for 7:30. Her eyes lit up. Our anniversary spot. What's the occasion? Just thought we should talk, I said casually. A flicker of unease crossed her face, quickly masked by her practiced smile. Sounds lovely. See you tonight. After she left, I transformed our dining room into what Diana had termed the evidence room. Printed emails laid out chronologically, bank statements with suspicious transfers highlighted, photos of Lauren and Tyler entering, hotels, the pre-approval for their Miami condo, everything meticulously arranged. At 6:15 p.m., I heard the click of the key in the lock. I was seated at the dining table, the damning evidence spread before me, a glass of scotch in hand. Lauren froze in the doorway. Her expression shifted from confusion to dawning horror as she took in the scene. Brian, what is all this? Her voice attempted innocence, but a tremor of panic betrayed her. Sit down, Lauren. I don't understand. Sit! My voice was level, controlled. She slowly lowered herself onto a chair, her eyes darting across the documents. How long were you planning to play me for a fool? I asked. Until the condo deal closed in Miami? Or were you going to wait until you'd completely drained our accounts? The color drained from her face. I can explain. Tyler Reynolds has already done a pretty good job of that, I said, sliding the photos of them together across the table. As have this joint bank account, these property listings, and this mortgage application. Her hands trembled as she reached for the visual proof of her betrayal. When were you going to tell me, Lauren? After your conference next month? Or was I supposed to come home to an empty house and divorce papers? It's not what it looks like, she tried, but her voice lacked conviction. I pressed play on the audio recording Victor had provided. This sounds perfect. It'll be our first official dinner as a couple in our new city. No more hiding. Tears welled in her eyes. Brian, please. No more lies, Lauren. It's over. I've already consulted a lawyer. I've documented the $40,000 you've siphoned from our accounts. I've secured our remaining assets. You spied on me? Indignation flared through her tears. Is that all you got out of this? I gave a mirthless laugh. 12 years, Lauren. 12 years and you threw it away for an Ocean View apartment and some marketing executive. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you. But you meticulously planned it for months. I stood up. I've booked you a hotel room for tonight. Pack your things. The locks will be changed tomorrow. Brian, we need to talk about this. We're past the talking stage. We're at the you're leaving stage. I placed the hotel reservation next to the damning evidence of her deceit. Your conference is canceled. Lauren left that night, mascara streaking her face, a hastily packed suitcase dragging behind her. The house felt emptier than ever before, not just because she was gone, but because I finally understood how hollow our life together had become in the preceding months. The following morning, Diana called to confirm Lauren had maxed out her credit card, a desperate $5,000 withdrawal. She had also attempted to access our joint investment account but found it frozen. She's panicking, Diana observed. That works in our favor. Has she contacted you? 27 text messages and 14 missed calls, I replied. I haven't answered. Perfect. Let her stew. 2 days later, Victor reported that Lauren had moved into Tyler's apartment. They had canceled their Miami trip, the realization of their shattered escape plan likely dawning on them. The next week was a blur of legal consultations and paperwork. Diana filed for divorce on the grounds of adultery, with the extensive evidence of financial deception attached. We also filed a motion for a temporary restraining order regarding the joint funds Lauren had withdrawn. Judges don't take kindly to hidden assets, Diana explained, especially with this level of documentation. At work, I requested a temporary transfer to our San Diego office. I needed the distance from Seattle, from the places that held the ghosts of Lauren. My boss, seeing the exhaustion etched on my face, approved it immediately. The first direct communication from Lauren came via email. The subject line, "Please read this." "I never wanted things to turn out this way," she wrote. "Tyler was supposed to be just a fling, but it got out of hand. I still care about you, Brian. We should talk about an amicable separation." Diana advised me not to respond. Damage control. She realizes she's lost the upper hand. A week after our separation, things took an unexpected turn. Lauren showed up at our house, finding the locks changed. Neighbors reported her screaming on the porch, demanding to be let in. When I didn't respond, she contacted mutual friends, painting herself as the victim of my controlling behavior and unfounded accusations. Thankfully, I had already shared the basic truth with my close circle, and their support was a lifeline in those dark days. The next communication came from Tyler, a development I hadn't anticipated. Lauren misrepresented her marital status to me, he claimed in a carefully worded email. "I believed your relationship was effectively over. I have information that might be beneficial to your divorce proceedings." Victor wasn't surprised. Sinking ship? He's looking for a lifeboat. As it turned out, Lauren had told Tyler that I was aware of their affair and was amenable to an amicable divorce. The money she had been transferring she presented as her fair share of our assets. Faced with the prospect of being named in a messy divorce, Tyler was quick to throw Lauren under the bus. Despite everything, I kept breathing, kept working, kept putting one foot in front of the other. The betrayal still stung, but each day brought a sliver of relief and a growing sense of having narrowly escaped further deception. 3 months after Lauren's exposure, I sat in Diana's office signing the final divorce papers. The process had been swifter and cleaner than I had anticipated, largely due to the irrefutable evidence of Lauren's duplicity. The judge had been particularly unimpressed with the hidden accounts. "The financial settlement reflects that," Diana noted, sorting through the documents. "You retain the house, all your retirement accounts, and a reimbursement for the funds Lauren withdrew. She kept her car, her personal belongings, and the stark reality of her choices." "Have you heard anything from her?" Diana asked. "No, not directly. Mutual friends say she and Tyler broke up about a month ago. Apparently, once the thrill of the clandestine meetings faded, so did the magic." Diana nodded, unsurprised. Relationships built on deceit rarely withstand the light of day. "My temporary transfer to San Diego was made permanent at my request. Seattle held too many ghosts, and the California office needed an experienced project lead. The oceanfront apartment I rented was smaller than my Seattle house, but it felt more like home than any place I had inhabited in recent years. That weekend, I began the process of sorting through the remnants of my married life. Diana had arranged for a moving company to pack and ship my essential belongings. Everything else would be sold or donated. As I sifted through books and kitchenware, deciding what deserved a place in my new life, my phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number. "This is Tyler Reynolds. I know you have no reason to speak to me, but there's something you should know about Lauren's current activities." I deleted it without responding. Their drama was no longer my concern. The Seattle house sold for over-asking in the hot market. I donated most of the furniture to a shelter for victims of domestic abuse, finding a strange sort of poetic justice in the gesture. Work became my sanctuary. I threw myself into challenging projects, staying late, designing new systems, slowly rebuilding my professional confidence. My personal life remained intentionally quiet. I wasn't ready to trust anyone yet. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my team celebrated a major contract win with drinks at an oceanfront bar. I was nursing a beer, half listening to office gossip, when a woman bumped into me, spilling her drink down my shirt. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, grabbing napkins to blot the stain. "No worries," I assured her, helping to clean up the mess. Her name was Abigail. She was a marine biologist from a nearby research center, never married, and possessed an easy laugh. We exchanged numbers, cautiously, without any expectations. 2 days later, we met for coffee. The conversation flowed effortlessly, devoid of any pretense or hidden agendas. For the first time in almost a year, I felt a long dormant spark flicker to life. Hope. I wasn't ready to fully trust yet, but sitting across from Abigail, watching her animatedly describe her work, I realized I was finally ready to try. A year to the day after signing those divorce papers, I stood on the balcony of my San Diego apartment, watching the sunset paint the Pacific in hues of gold and crimson. So much had changed, yet sometimes I still woke up disoriented, the wreckage of my marriage momentarily forgotten before the stark reality of my rebuilt life crashed back. The legal epilogue to Lauren's betrayal had been anticlimactic. She contested nothing after Tyler's testimony corroborated the extent of her plans. The last I heard from mutual friends, she had moved to Chicago, not Miami, working at a small firm. Her grand escape plan had evaporated like morning mist. My career in San Diego thrived. The change of scenery had unlocked a creative energy I hadn't accessed in years, leading to a promotion and industry recognition for a major software solution my team had developed. And then there was Abigail. Our coffee date had led to dinner, then weekend hikes along the coast, then comfortable silences and meaningful conversations. We moved slowly, deliberately, both carrying the lessons of past relationships. "What are you thinking about?" Abigail asked, joining me on the balcony with 2 glasses of wine. "Just how different life looks a year later," I replied honestly, accepting a glass. "How unexpectedly this journey has been." She smiled, understanding in her eyes. 6 months into our relationship, I had told her the full story of Lauren's betrayal. Abigail had listened without judgment, then shared her own past heartbreaks and unexpected turns. "To unexpected journeys," she said, raising her glass. We clinked glasses, watching the last sliver of sun disappear below the horizon. Later that evening, my phone vibrated with an email notification. It was a message from Diana forwarding an email from Lauren. "I know it's been a long time," Lauren had written. "I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of therapy. I understand now how deeply I hurt you, and while I know an apology won't change anything, I needed you to know I am truly sorry for the pain I caused." I stared at the words, surprised by the lack of emotion they evoked. No anger, no lingering resentment, just the acknowledgement of a closed chapter. "Everything okay?" Abigail asked, noticing my expression. "Yeah," I replied, putting my phone down without responding. "Just the past saying goodbye." That night, as Abigail slept beside me, I reflected on the strange path life had taken. The betrayal that had once felt like the end of everything had, in fact, been the catalyst for a new beginning, something authentic. Without Lauren's deceit, I might never have found the courage to rebuild, to relocate, to open myself up to new possibilities. In losing what I thought I needed, I had discovered what truly mattered: honesty, self-respect, and the quiet joy of genuine connection. As I drifted off to sleep, a surprising thought surfaced. I was grateful, not for the betrayal itself, but for the stronger version of myself that had emerged from its ashes. The man who had survived Lauren's deception was more real, more resilient, and ultimately more capable of true intimacy than the man I had been before. Sometimes the most brutal endings pave the way for the most beautiful beginnings.